Most soloing advice overcomplicates everything. Too many shapes, too many rules, and too much confusion. But here's the thing, you don't need all that. You can sound like a pro using just one simple shape to start. If you are still trying to match scales to chords, this one shift could save you years of frustration. So in this video I'll show you a completely different way to approach soloing using just one shape, one position and one song to help you solo over almost anything without feeling like you are guessing. If you are an adult guitar player and you've been stuck in the same 2 or 3 positions for years, this is for you. I teach a lot of students like you, smart, committed, but totally burned out on endless shapes and confusing advice that never quite clicks. That's why I built a full course called Fretboard Freedom, designed specifically for adult intermediate players who want to finally solo across the neck with confidence using a simple 2-shape method that actually makes sense. Link is below. I'll mention more at the end, but for now, let me show you how powerful just one shape can be. Here is what this approach sounds like, all done using just one shape in one position. You might recognize that progression, it's from I'll Play the Blues for You by Albert King. Now traditionally most players would tackle this using the so-called Albert King box right around here. But to make things more interesting, I want to show you how to solo through the entire progression from a different spot on the neck, starting with my index finger on the root on the B string, so we are right here. I chose this song because it's essentially a minor blues, but it throws in a few curveballs, especially that B flat and D chord, and it gives you more options where to go melodically. The chord progression is 4 bars of G minor, 2 bars of C minor, then another 2 bars of G minor, and then we go to B flat, D and C minor, and we will finish on G minor again. The solo you just heard touch every chord in that progression without leaving this one position on the neck. And that's the key idea I want to share with you today. You can solo through entire progressions without jumping all over the neck. Once you learn to see the possibilities inside a single position, everything opens up. Your phrasing, targeting chord tones and telling a story. Now here's the thing, I didn't always play this way. In fact, for years I was completely confused when soloing over chord changes. I thought I had to switch scales or arpeggios for every chord, and while that technically works, it never sounded connected, more like I was solving a math problem, not making music. But everything changed once I realized that the solos I like the most flow smoothly through chord changes. Even when the progression steps outside the key, your job as a soloist isn't to jump around. It's to guide the listener smoothly into those new sounds and back again, like telling a story with no harsh cuts. So no jumping, no chasing notes, just smooth sailing, and that's what I love to hear. So how do you actually start doing this? Let me break down what's actually happening in that solo and how I stayed in that one place while still outlining the chords. To move smoothly through chord changes, you need to understand your possibilities within a single position. So if I choose this spot, starting with my index finger on the root on the B string, I need to see everything from that anchor point. The first chord is G minor, is the tonic chord, so the basic G minor pentatonic works well. But instead of running the scale, I try to open the solo with something more expressive, like the long bend from B flat to D. I love that sound so much, but my strings hate me for it though, I snap them all the time. After G minor we move to C minor, and now I had few options here. I could have kept using the G minor pentatonic because it shares 2 notes with C minor, C and G, and so it technically works, but I wanted to accent that minor third of C minor, the E flat, that we don't have in G minor pentatonic, and make the change feel deliberate. So what did I do? I used G minor pentatonic as a stepping stone and bend from D to E flat. Here's how that sounds. That one note shift introduces the new chord flavor without jumping around the neck. Just one bend and suddenly the solo takes a turn. That's the kind of subtlety that makes a solo feel connected and intentional, and you start to sound like your guitar heroes. After that we return to G minor, nothing fancy here, just back to G minor pentatonic, keeping things grounded. But then the progression takes that unexpected turn. We go from G minor to B flat to D to C minor. Now technically you could still just lean on the G minor pentatonic because B flat major shares two notes with G minor, B flat and D, so they are basically the same chords, and even D major isn't totally out of place, it contains the note D which is already in G minor. It would work, and honestly we are all so used to hearing minor pentatonic over blues that it sounds fine over these changes. But I wanted to do something a little more lyrical. Something that actually outlines the chords as they pass by without leaving the position. So here is what I did. Again, I used the G minor pentatonic as a foundation, but this time as a launchpad for a longer bend from D to F, which targets the fifth of B flat. And that's the key. You want to be able to see the chord tones right where you are already playing, so you can create musical connection, not just run patterns. In this case, I see the B major flat right here in the familiar D shape, and I was targeting this F, which is the fifth of B flat. And I finished the phrase by bending from A to B flat, again targeting the root note of that B flat chord. And finished on F sharp, which is major third of D7. So even though F sharp introduces a brand new sound, it connects naturally to everything that came before it, because I wasn't jumping, I was just flowing from one chord tone to another chord tone with a musical idea. So you don't need to chase every chord around the neck, you just need to see how those new chord tones relate to the position you are already in and connect them musically. So I visualize the D7 here or here, and the important thing to see it right next to your G minor pentatonic. Okay? Once you can see these chord tones and target them deliberately, you start to develop a more lyrical, intentional sound. At first, it's like trial and error. You try landing on different notes of the chord and listen to what it gives you. But over time, you start to hear the phrases in your head before you even play them, and that's when your solos really start to sing. And to finish this solo, after the last phrase, I just wanted to bring the listener back home, so I leaned into the G minor blues scale, just some simple phrasing to guide the ear safely back to G minor. So that's it, nothing fancy. So just with one shape and a bit of intention, you can say a whole lot without ever leaving your spot on the neck. If you found this helpful, I go much deeper into this approach in my full course, Fretboard Freedom. It's designed specifically for adult intermediate guitarists, especially those with limited time, who want to finally break out of the boxes, understand the fretboard, and solo with confidence using a simple two-shape system that actually makes sense. You can join now at the early bird price, just click the link below. Hope to see you inside.